Hey, beautifuls. We're gonna get started in about 5 minutes. I'm gonna turn my camera off and we will start in a moment. Yeah, I just get people off. Okay. So we are going to stop posting events on Eventbrite. Like we're getting a bunch of weirdos. Like some women are registering and most of them are not showing up, which is fine. But the events with no paid window, it's given us like a bunch of weirdos, men who pop up and have their pants down and wear shit. So we're not doing that anymore. So I'll make an announcement. We'll get ready for class. We've got a couple of minutes. Okay, beloveds. All right, we've waited. It is recording. Here we go. So I want to welcome everybody to our setting for sacred space, right? Creating your own sacred space. And this is going to be a little bit different. I think it's important. I think it's important for this is important for everybody who is spiritual, um, who has spiritual gifts, etc. It's the concept of this is very, very important. I meant to get my mic out for you guys today. So I do apologize for that, but my phone needed to charge. I'm using the phone, not the computer. So we're going to be talking about creating a sacred space, and it's important for a lot of different reasons, and not just because of the decor or the aesthetics. So we're going to get into that, and I'm going to walk you through how to create not just an aesthetically pleasing environment, but more importantly, an anchored sacred space that reflects your values and your intentions. So let's first clear the space. So welcome to this amazing container. We're going to do the goddess breath 3 rounds. If you are new here, I am Reverend Goddess LaMeel. I'm your host. I am the instructor for the evening. I am the founder of Goddess University, Goddess Life Ministries, and LaMeel.com, Lux and Light Apothecary. All of those things are kind of intertwined with each other. So the goddess breath is 4 counts of an in breath. We hold at the top for 4 counts, and then it's exhaling to the count of 4, and then holding empty for the count of 4. So we're making this beautiful inverted triangle with the breath. So it is a breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. We're going to do 3 rounds to get us grounded and set our intentions. So let's begin. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. One more round. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. So the cards that I've pulled for this class today, we got 3 that came up. We got the moon, powerful, intuitive epiphanies are going to be happening. And we got the world, delays are over, sudden, unexpected good luck, a new car, or travel. Okay, which is excellent. If you guys, we're right on the cusp, the ending, the exiting of the full moon. So if you've manifested traveling, getting a new car, having some good luck, like the full moon is taking whatever it needed to take with it. That's why we've got the moon and we've got the wheel right here. But you need to be tuned in, tapped in. You're going to start letting go of some fear and some worry as you practice. Huh. And you're going to finally be able to understand the truth about the situation that you're in, or a situation that has had us perplexed, because this is a collective reading that is universal for whenever it is you're listening to it. We're listening to it. We're receiving this right after the full moon in May. So Spirit says you need to ask for help. You're doing too much work, not enough play. Trust that there's a reason that everything happens. So go ahead, remove yourself from the negative conditions. You are going to understand those situations, and the understandings are basically going to come as downloads, right? As these intuitive epiphanies. You're spending way too much time focusing on what you're afraid of instead of what if it happens? How great could it be? How wonderful is it? So have some patience. You're going to have a lot of satisfaction in a job well done. Like whatever you're working on is coming to an energetic head that is going to be quite satisfactory for you. So again, I want to welcome you. And I want to remind you that you are the temple. If you have not taken the class that Magick comes within, actually that class is not till later in the month, so next week. Okay. Tune into that class. It's huge importance. And I feel like that class probably should have came before this one, but we're gonna do what it do. All right. Because having a really sacred space for your spiritual growth, for your cleansing, for your development, for your spiritual practice is really important. And it is one of the foundational things that you should work on. And this is always going to be a work in progress, right? As you develop, as your intuition heightens, as your understanding of things expand, you are going to change your environment, and that part is okay. So just know that. I want you to really know that all of these trainings, especially this one, but all of the trainings, the workshops, the whatever it is that I'm hosting, they're not just trainings, right? You're not here to learn. You are here to remember. Everything is going to be different for each one of us. Although society tries to put us in this cookie cutter shit, right? You're not that. And just like working a spell, you always change one thing, add something to put your own signature on it, as with the learning, right? You take what works for you, you take what resonates, and you leave everything else. And there is the caveat, right, of in some spell work, but we're not here for that tonight. This is about you remembering. And the reason that I say that it's about remembering and everything that I offer is more of a remembrance than it is a teaching is because you came here with this knowledge already encoded in you and you were rewired. You were put in situations and circumstances and you were fed things through the television and the radio, all lies that you have conformed to, that you bought into, that have adjusted your thoughts, feelings, closed off your intuition. And I am outside, so the background noise is the air conditioner. So it's not that you don't know. That is really a phrase that you need to just fucking chuck, get it out of your vocabulary. It is never that you don't know. You may not remember. You may not know how to tap into it at the time, but when it comes to your spirituality, when it comes to what is true for you, our body, our spirit, soul, whatever, we know. I mean, you may not know how to build a bomb or, a house, and that is something that you have to learn. But when it comes to knowing you, knowing what's best for you, knowing what resonates with you, knowing which way to go, knowing intuitively who your guide needs to be for that moment, that time, you do know. So all of my sessions are encoded with the number frequencies, the sound frequencies to help you remember. Your sacred space, and the reason that we're talking about this is that, you know, your sacred space is a mirror of your soul, which is why I wanted to ground you with some intentional breath work to just kind of get you in line. We want to make sure that your mind, body, and spirit are treated sacredly. Your mind, body, and spirit are essentially your holy ground. You are really not creating space. You are the space, the portal, the priestess that dwells within, right? You are all of those things. The key here is to have a space that reflects the essence of you being that, right? The space, the portal. You need to have a space that supports you in your growth. And that's kind of what we're going to get into here. So what it means to claim your energetic space, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the difference between decoration and energetic anchoring, and your sacred space as a portal and a vibration. So claiming energetic sovereignty means understanding that your vibration controls the room. Your power is the atmosphere. Sacred space isn't about aesthetics and matching throw pillows, which I love. Don't get me wrong. But sacred space, okay? So I decorate on 2 levels. I do dopamine decor, which is kind of like art for me. Everything in my space, I fucking love it. If I don't love it, it's trash. I will go without until I find something I am in love with that lights me up from the inside out. I did a dopamine class in our quantum training, so you could probably find it in there. But I definitely do my decor from a dopamine perspective. What makes me feel good? I use that practice of like hell yes or hell no. So I do that right down to the items that I buy. If I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't get it. If I see it, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, I need this. It's mine. The reason being is that I've attuned myself so that usually when it is a, oh, hell yes, I don't have to say body or spirit, do I need this? Is this beneficial? Because my body responds, right? I use my body as basically a human pendulum in making most decisions. And I'm increasing in that area because sometimes I forget. But so the hell yes in me also rocks my internal pendulum, which means that it's a good thing for me. It's going to help me make money. It's going to increase my vibe. It's going to make me happy. Like those are the reasons that I would buy a thing. So there's that aspect. But if it makes me feel good like that, right, then I also ensure that it is anchoring. It is energetically anchoring. There are a few things that I'm like, oh, I would love that. But they're not really energetically anchoring, and it's not many. But I'll wait. And then if my soul is like, oh, you need that, then yeah, I would do it. Okay. So where was I? Okay, your vibration essentially controls the room. Your power is the atmosphere. So sacred space isn't really about, you know, your matching throw pillows, your aesthetics, all of that stuff. It is about anchoring your frequency into matter. Your sacred space becomes basically the boundary between your inner temple and your outer world. So we're going to explore how to energetically own the places that you dwell in, no matter how small, so that they reflect your spiritual royalty. If you guys have questions, I'm seeing like little dings. Can you put them in the chat? Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. So just to kind of reiterate, like decorating is about appearance and it focuses on the aesthetics, how things look, anything that has to do with your color scheme, matching items, texture, visual appeal, right? It's the physical beauty of the space. And a lot of times that is guided by your personal taste, your style, whatever the trends are. And like I said, for me, my dopamine, that is my decoration. So you might have pretty candles and crystals or art because they're pleasing to the eye and they're fashionable, which I do. That is my dopamine level. And I pick those things that increase my dopamine. Now, on the other hand, energetic anchoring is about the vibration and the intention. It's really not about how stuff looks, it's about what it holds energetically. An energetically anchored space is typically infused with meaning and ritual, and of course, frequency. Every item has a purpose beyond its form. So for me, I think that is the ultimate how my dopamine decor creates a sacred space because if I see it and I love it and it's a hell yes, it also has to have purpose beyond its form, right? So I don't know if they're still on Lux and Light right now because we were out for a while, but I make these beautiful goddess candles, right? She's got full hips, full breasts, full belly, and she's gorgeous. Those candles, though, when I set them around, so if you see one in the bathroom, that candle is with crystals and charged under the moon, and it's for Venus Day. If it's in the bedroom, it may be for self-love, relationship, healing, whatever. Everything has a meaning beyond just its form. So the candle's not just pink and pretty, it's dressed with oils, it's charged under the full moon, it's programmed to the heart chakra. That crystal isn't decor, it's a vibrational ally holding the energetic clarity of healing, um, or financial abundance, or around my door when you come into my house. Literally, selenite crystals are on, they line, I've got 3 layers, and they go up and around the door frame so that when people walk through, and I have some other crystals in the foyer as well, but they're there. And to me, it's absolutely stunningly beautiful. And it makes my heart sing, but also it's cleansing the energy of the people that come through, right? So decoration pleases the eye. Energetic anchoring activates the soul. And when you can combine the two, you have like the ultimate sacred space. So when you anchor your space energetically, you're creating a living, breathing field or a vortex, essentially, that holds intentions, supports your growth, and responds to your vibration. Because as a sacred container, that's what it's designed to do. It's not just a pretty room. So that's why a lot of people pray in the same spot because it creates this energetic intention and it imprints on the material items like the carpet, the pillow that you sit on, the bell you ring, the whatever it is. And this is really, really important because many women decorate your space and still feel, and the space is beautiful, right? But you feel ungrounded, or you're in your house and you're uninspired. That's because the space is not anchored with intention. Even the smallest container becomes a powerful sacred altar that holds your frequency and amplifies your magic when you do it through anchoring. So once you've picked a space, and it is good, in my opinion, to start with one space and then move on. Sacred space, because there is different functionalities and in each space. So like my kitchen, so totally sacred. And one of the things that like I had to have very specific cutting boards. I love the Vitamix. I have Excalibur dehydrators. I've got certain NutriBullets, but then also to make me to give me my dopamine hit, right? They are in pink or beautifully decorated. Sometimes I embellish them so that it's beautiful and it's intentionally anchored, because that is my source of nutrients. So everything is in beautiful glass containers. Um, some of the things that I store where it can be seen, because it is pleasing to me, but it's also nourishing. And I feel like when I'm seeing my food, when I open the refrigerator and everything is in these beautiful containers, and I make like my sea moss, I either blend with strawberries, or I put sometimes it's green because I put like spirulina or a matcha in there. Not matcha, Jesus, not matcha. Moringa into the sea moss and blend it. Um, but when I open the refrigerator, there's these amazing colors and everything looks so clean. And that speaks to my soul. So it is pleasing to the eye. It is definitely dopamine, decor. I'm getting my hit. At the same time, everything in there is designed to nourish the body. So I'm using not plastic, I'm using glass. I don't use plastic cutting boards, I use bamboo. Um, everything is as high frequency as I'm able to provide right now, because that's the essence of my life in that space. So my kitchen and where I meditated is where I started. And then I went to the space where I work, right? And I don't even call it work. That's a whole nother phrase I'm throwing out this year, because I don't work, I create. So the space where I create for my income streams, I started there because I needed to be comfortable. I needed to be dual functional. I needed all of these things, and I needed to be able to uh, put my energetic stamp on my product. So, like if you've ever bought from Luxembourg Apothecary, if your product is not made when you ordered it, it was pre-made, it was charged in the moon, and it was crystal charged and put on the sound frequency box. If it's made when you order it, it may not have the moon charge, depending on the moon. If we're just because listen, because it is me actually making it. But once that's done and that it's holding that frequency, if it is on my shelf and I pull it, I still pray over it. I send energy to it. And I then wrap it, I stamp it. So all my bottles, doesn't matter what you get, they have what is that called? Wax and a stamp. Because it means that I held it in my hand and I prayed intention to it to amplify the work that it's doing for you before it was wrapped and put in the box. So for my creating space, I needed space to do that. I needed little boxes with crystals in them to put bottles in as I filled them. I needed the flat speakers to put the bottles and the tins, because now the teas come in beautiful tins. I put the teas on there and I charge them with frequency. We needed that space, but sometimes, like when I'm creating and I'm making oils, or I'm making capsules, or I'm just doing a holistic blend, like for hormone balance or something, I need to sit on the floor. I need to be able to lay all the crystals around. I activate every herb individually before I combine them. And then they're combined over an intention. So like my space for creating was very specific and very intentional, but it is also, it gives me a dopamine hit, because even if I'm not feeling inspired and I go into that space, I am inspired to do something. So, and I'm gonna just, I'll give you a little sneak peek, because I was working on relaunching Goddess Frequency, which is my higher ticket coaching program that includes courses. So I've expanded the number of courses. I was waiting on it. And then Spirit said, bitch, now, right now, right now, this week before the week is out, like literally this week. So, so even though that page isn't done, I shifted and just made a short page, and it will be launching this weekend. However, while I was creating that and expanding that and pouring more into that, I had a day where I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't really feel like this. And for me to be able to come in and lay on my blanket and just sit in the space that is energetically charged for creating, everything I possibly do from a creative standpoint is there. So I was able to paint, I was able to color, because I color a lot, and I do have a goddess coloring book, if you guys are interested. But the coloring sometimes gets me inspired. Sometimes I just sit and rub oils all over me and get inspired. And this day, I was listening to sensual music, because that's what I was creating. Goddess Frequency is really about pulling your power from your sensuality, activating your pussy power, manifesting through your pussy, being led by pleasure, and stepping into your feminine frequency power. And boom, I got a download and a formula combination for a new formula combination for I don't even know what it's called in Lux and Light anymore, but basically to make it nice and wet, right? But also this time I got the download for a loop, an all natural, it's edible, and I've already made a sample for myself, and it is amazing. And it was important because, although, and this seems like a side note, but I'm trying to, it seems like I went left with this class, but I'm trying to explain to you how inspired and how detailed you can get a download from being in a space that is energetically anchored with intention, right? So this space is energetically anchored for me to get my downloads, to act on those downloads immediately. It's not just because my shower is energetically set, anchored for downloads, right, and release. And so sometimes I do get a lot in the tub and in the shower, but this space is anchored for me to not just get the download, but to act on it. Okay, because I'm gonna be talking about like perimenopause and menopause, and because of my herb blend, I am in perimenopause with no symptoms. Not a single one of the symptoms that they will be talking about all the time, except I am drier than I used to be. And I was asking, like, okay, how do I fix this? What do I need to do? What do I need to be, or what level of frequency do I need to be at to solve this issue for me and others? And so boom, it came. I had all the shit. I made it. It was fucking amazing. And now you guys are going to get to have it. That's the benefit of being in an anchored space with intention that is designed for you to flourish, right? Your bedroom can be anchored for self-love. Your bedroom could be anchored for sex magic. Your bedroom may be anchored for healing, which mine has been for over a year or two or three. Really, for the last couple of years, my bedroom has been anchored for healing and self-love. That anchoring is shifting, and this is a really good point of interest because it is shifting. Because now my bedroom is anchored, the intention and how I'm moving things and how I'm charging things and how I am switching things out of the bedroom, because now I am anchoring it for sexual power, for sexual pleasure on a very high level. So those are just some examples of infusing your space with purpose, with pleasure, with power. You want everything to embody the values, even in the physical layout. And you can start by creating a Pinterest board, but you need to design from your soul and not aesthetics. Aesthetic, and I know I keep talking about my dopamine aesthetic, right? But that's not first. Okay. I don't have my light. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna get a light because I want to make sure I don't miss any points. All right, y'all. I just wanted to make sure I didn't skip over any of my key points. Okay, so I want to talk about how to sense and identify stagnant energy or misaligned energy, right? So clearing and resetting the energy. When you start, I used to literally clear and reset energy after in every room anybody ever went to that came to my house. Every time they left, I reset the energy. If there was an argument, I reset energy until I really started putting that into some of the items that I had in my house. Like I picked specific crystals, etc. And so now it's not really as big of a ritual, clearing and resetting. I do that once a month in every room and every space that I'm in. However, I don't have to do it now. Every time somebody comes into my house, leaves my house, every time sometimes when people come in and they're acting a little crazy, I definitely will clear and reset, energy. But as you are setting up your space, you're going to want to start clearing and resetting as you move things, rearrange things until you start infusing and anchoring all of your items with intention. You're going to want to do that. And the first way that you can do this is by using your body as a barometer. So your body is really a sacred instrument. So when you enter a space, if you pay attention to how your body responds, right? Do you feel heavy, tight, anxious, fatigued, right? If it is heavy, it's a lie. It is not good. If you go into a place and you feel light and you feel expanded, or at least you feel free enough or comfortable enough to expand, it's good. Check your shoulders. Are they tense? Are you shallow breathing? Do you avoid spending time in a certain room or a certain corner? Or when you go into a closet, do you feel like it's triggering anxiety? These are all signs that energy's not flowing or something is misaligned, because your body actually knows. The other thing is to pay attention to emotional echoes. So spaces hold emotional residue. Oh, do I have a story about this? Okay. So especially where arguments, grief, illness, and trauma occur. So if you go into a space and you feel sad, irritated, overwhelmed in certain parts of your home for no obvious reasons, If you feel emotionally numb or disconnected from certain areas of your house, if you are uneasy, like in a room, that's a sign that there's some stagnant energy stored there. So let me tell you about this time. Okay, I had a beautiful house. This was not the most beautiful, but I happen to really love this house because of the time that I had it. My kids were like not really little, but not too old. Everybody was home. So this is like 3 stories, 8 bedrooms, 2 living rooms. I had a magic room. You've probably seen YouTube videos and stuff of me in the magic room. I redid The Office on YouTube in that particular house, right? So I love this house. We loved living there for several years, but we had to move under like really shitty circumstances. There was a huge leak. They said they were gonna fix it. They hadn't fixed it. He so I'm at war with the landlord about the situation, and we moved. But prior to us moving, I allowed a family member to come stay, and did, unbeknownst to me, they had a drug issue. So we move, we get everything into we packed, but hired movers. They get all of my stuff into the room. My cousin, who was staying with me, and I had a friend who was also living with me at the time, uh, needed to put their stuff in storage, and I had some random single whatever items. So I got a second storage unit. The bulk of the items in this storage unit belonged to my cousin, but my girlfriend's items were also in here. So we go over there because she needs to get something, and I'm trying to assess how much of my stuff is still in there and if I can get it into the other unit or what I can do so that I don't have these 2 units. Because at this point, I'm not willing to pay for a unit for him. So I'm trying to remember the story. So we go into the storage because, mind you, the house was huge. And we initially think we're moving and he's going to do repairs, and then he doesn't. So then we have to move everything out. And we have been staying at like a Radisson Inn, right? One of those like 2 bedroom hotel things. So we my girlfriend and I are in the smaller unit, and we're moving stuff and we're sorting through stuff, and she's on the outside, but like I've gone all the way to the back of the unit, and I'm moving stuff around and I'm looking, and we're talking, and I feel myself becoming increasingly like I'm angry, I'm irritable, I'm fucking pissed off, and everything is just negative, 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 negative. And so she was engaged in it with me, but then she walked out of the unit. And when she walked out, I'm looking at her and she turns back to me and she's like, whoa. So all of the grief and irritation and paranoia that my cousin had been experiencing was all over this stuff. And I was in there and I was feeling it and I was verbalizing it and I was angry for no reason other than I was picking up the energy off of the stuff. Because as soon as she said, hey, this stuff is giving off, you know, some weird vibes. And I was like, yeah, I jumped up and came out of the unit and kind of shook it off and did my energy exercises. And I was like, fuck, that shit was all over me. I got to get my stuff out of here, because at that point I knew there's a resonance that's going to happen. So the few things I did have in there were going to resonate with his shit, which is full of fear and trauma and da 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 da. But I literally was verbalizing it, just being in a enclosed container with the items that he had been living with and pouring energy and intention into unknowingly. This is why when you go get things from the thrift store, which I love to do, or you buy things from estate sales, you need to be careful. You need to gauge the energetic imprint on it. Is it at a point where you could clear it? And make sure you clear it
before you invite it into your space. So the tools that you can use are sound. So you could ring a bell, smoke. If you use sage, if you use Palo Santo, that helps. You can use incense smoke, salt. So like if it's jewelry and such, even when I just started buying a lot of copper, like that's a thing for me now, copper and my crystals. So I bury them in salt and then charge them in the sun before I wear them. Okay, breath and intention, just putting your energetic intention on it. Cold water works really well too. You can clap. That breaks up energy, not just on items, but in spaces and in corners. So like one of the things that my grandchildren do, I have tiny bells for them. And it's like, it's time to clear the energy in the corners. And they run into all the little corners of the house and ring the bell so that nothing gets stuck there. Sometimes we clap and I'm trying to think of other things that we do. You can do Reiki just by sending energy that sweeps through as well. Every sacred space begins with release. So if you're creating a sacred space, the first thing you have to do is get rid of the old energy, stagnant frequencies, and even emotional imprints that linger in your physical environment. So if you and your ex fought all the time in the bathroom, or it was always in the bedroom, like one of the things I know is that like if I have been with someone and like, listen, when you get rid of that dude, throw them blankets and sheets away that he was in, that he, came on, that sweated fucking out in, like just let all that shit go. Get rid of it. I don't even drink water if people or myself have been arguing or talking negative over it, because water has memory. So I just don't fucking do it. Okay. So clearing practices really allow you to hit a spiritual reset ultimately. So like I said, you can also burn mugwort or resins. I have a sound bowl, so you can do that as well. You can even do like a sacred dance to move the energy. But you definitely want to clear out what no longer resonates so that you can reset the energetic field and open space for new blessings to come in. Once you've done that, observe the movement of air, light, and sound. So that is another way that just came to me to check if there's stagnant energy. So corners, closets, under beds and cluttered spaces. If you live in clutter, remember our external world is a reflection of our internal world. I've been to people's houses where the house is fucking beautiful and their bedroom is so nasty that they're ashamed to let you get a peek in at it. Right? Like they just are disgusting. And then there's those people who pull up and like, oh, I'll drive. And you go to their car and there's trash every fucking where. And they're like, just throw it in the back. Yeah. Those people have a lot of issues. If you're one of those people, like, yo, clear your energy, get some fucking therapy. Like start clearing out the trauma, because you can't, who the fuck wants to drive around in trash, right? If you're okay driving around in trash, there's trauma and there's issues there that you need to clear. Rooms that are rarely used or have really bad airflow, you definitely need to do a reset on them. And spaces with no natural light that feel really stale. It's like dead or dim, or it doesn't echo sound well. the energy is likely really stuck. Also, check for repeating patterns. Do certain things keep happening in the same space where like your plants die or they just won't thrive? If you have electronic glitches, like if you're in this corner of the house, the phone fucks up all the time, or you can't sit over here with your laptop because the internet always glitches or whatever. You always feel like confused when you're in a spot, like you sit at your desk and you can never focus at your desk. These patterns are spiritual breadcrumbs pointing to energetic misalignment. So you can use some divination or energetic tools to clear them. You can use a pendulum to check for energy flow in different corners if you are not sure or you haven't really learned to use your body as a pendulum yet. Again, you can burn sage, mugwort, palo santo. You can do open rose incense and observe where the smoke lingers or moves strangely. It often clings to where energy is stuck. Okay, so pay attention to the smoke pattern so that you know where it is, because you're going to clear it once and it's going to settle back there, and you have to keep cleaning it until you have a real good flow. Use sound. So if you're ringing a bell and it's muffled in an area, that's an indication. Also, ask spirit, call on your spirit guides, your higher self, ask them to reveal what's out of alignment. And how you get that answer, you may hear it, you may feel it, or you may just get like this really nice knowingness. And then don't negate the fact that you can feel it. Close your eyes, scan the room with your inner senses. Ask questions like, does this space reflect my current frequency? Does it inspire, support, and nurture me? Is the energy old, heavy, or is the energy even somebody else's? If your space doesn't match your elevated vibration, it's time to clear, cleanse, and reclaim. Energy gets stuck when intention disappears. I'm going to say that again. The energy in your house will get stuck in spaces where the intention has disappeared. A sacred space must be tended like a garden. So you've got to clear it, you've got to refresh it, and you've got to recharge it regularly. So the spaces I spend most of my time in, I do more often. I do all spaces once a month. Spaces I really, really dwell in, like my creating space, once a week. Bathrooms, once or twice a week. Bedrooms, a couple of times a week. Everything else, and even though I'm in the kitchen regularly, because part of my cleaning is a ritual, and once I'm done cleaning, there are I set lights in my kitchen after I've cleaned for the night, right? So then my kitchen's fucking closed. I'm resetting the energy. So when I go in there tomorrow, or even in the middle of the fucking night, if I feel like it, it's clean. So I want to make sure I am hitting all the points for you. So now, once you've determined where there's stagnant energy or where you're starting, then you've got to anchor intention with ritual tools, right? So we know how to cleanse out that energy. Now we're talking about choosing and consecrating your ritual items. So if you've got photos, symbols, crystals, candles, you're going to want to charge all of those things with intention and frequency. Once your space is clean, it's time to activate it. So your ritual tools are not just pretty, they are frequency amplifiers. And your altar will become like a living entity, pulsing with your purpose and your power. So you want to purify the items that you decide to bring in. So before something can hold a divine energy, It must be cleared of the mundane energy. So again, you're using smoke, salt, moonlight, sunlight. You can place them under the full moon for a receptive feminine energy, or in the sun for a more active masculine energy. For sound, use bells, chimes, bowls, use your voice. You can chant or hum. I often charge things, kind of consecrate my things with the number frequencies, the goddess frequencies that are numeral codes, like chanting them over and over. You can whisper or say, I cleanse this tool of all energies that are not mine, not pure, not sacred, return to sender. Like, just that in and of itself is enough. If you ain't got nothing else, you can say that while you are looking and holding that particular item. And that is your way of cleansing it, consecrating it, and making it ready for the purpose that you're going to give it. So once it's clean, now what you're doing is charging the item with your specific purpose. So this is where it actually becomes your thing. Okay? You're going to hold the item in your hand and speak your intention into it. So an example would be like, I dedicate this candle to the element of fire to burn away blocks and ignite my manifestations. Or I charge this crystal to hold the frequency of clarity and divine communication. Or I consecrate this wand as an extension of my will and power, which is really good for wands. So when you're appointing them, it becomes that extension of you. And you want to do that, say that in a way where you're able to feel your energy move into the item. You are breathing into it. Your breath gives life. So let it receive your essence. So you can also bless each item with the 4 elements to anchor it fully into a physical and energetic realm, right? So with earth, you're going to sprinkle some salt or place it in soil. Water, you're going to anoint it with blessed or moon charged water. Air, you're going to fan it with a feather or blow your breath on it. And fire, you're going to pass it through the flame or near a candle safely, right? So I do that. So like I said, I tend to use salt. When I am staying in apartments, I always have a beautiful container of dirt, really, really good quality, nutrient rich dirt. I do that also because sometimes I need to stand in it. I need to put my hands in it if I've been doing a lot of work, right? It grounds me, but also I use it to put my items in. And then I always have some charged water. So I have charged water from all the different full moons that I'll keep small amounts. And unless there's a storm, so like I may have a lot of storm water, right? But that's for different working. I have a fan, a feather, but I typically don't use feathers. I do have them. I usually use my breath. Okay. And then because I love fire and I'm a fire sign and I burn every fucking thing, I always pass them through the flame. And then when I do, I'm saying something like, I bless this item by earth, grounding it with strength, water, flowing it in intention, air, aligning it with my divine mind, fire, igniting its power. It is consecrated and made sacred. Right. And that's it. At the end of that, I usually kiss the item, press it to my heart, place it on my altar, anoint it with some oil. And the goal is really here just to energetically seal your work with love, right? So you could even follow up with something else like, I love, with love, with truth, with power, I seal this item as sacred. It works only in alignment with my highest self and divine will. So it is. Ashe, I mean, amen, whatever it is that you're going to say. So that's very close to how I seal my formulas before I send them out, right? With love, with truth, with power. So they're sealed sacredly to work on your behalf for your intent. So what really happens after you consecrate an item, right? Your tool begins to respond to your frequency. So even my plants go through a consecration because I needed to respond to me. I needed to know, like, you're here, you're in my energy, you're in my frequency. You are part of my sacred space. And so we need to co-create together, and you have specific function here. So that way my plants, my objects become allies, right? And then they hold a magnetism that amplifies when I use them in rituals and for manifestations. They don't just sit anymore, they radiate, you know? So when I walk into a room, like, I know which plant is talking to me, like, hey, I need to be watered. Hey, I need to be repotted. Hey, I need to, this. I know which crystal is like, bitch, I need to get out of here. I've taken as much energy as I can, and you need to cleanse me. I've got an amazing amethyst, but my amethyst is this particular amethyst will remind me when my son shows up, put me the fuck away, right? Because it's aligned and anchored in my intention. Now, why do I put it away? Because my son is diagnosed. He has bipolar and schizophrenia. He is on medication and very stable right now. But amethyst, when people who are mentally unstable, especially not on anything that's helping to regulate that, being surrounded by amethyst can intensify whatever that imbalance is. Okay. So because, and I didn't know this at first, and then I learned it, and then I would put it away or turn it in a different direction because I love amethyst and I have it everywhere. So I have a really big one that used to be on the coffee table in the living room that he would sit in front of to watch TV, and then he would just be losing his fucking shit because he wasn't on his medication. And when I cleansed it after he left and went through the consecration process with it, realizing that I don't think I did it when I first moved in to that new space with that particular crystal. Uh, it communicated with me, right? Just like I'm saying, my plants let me know I need to be clipped. My daughter wants a piece of one of my plants, and my plant is like, no, I'm not giving it up for her. It's like, but you can't have it. Right. And then I have other plants who are like, oh, she could have some of me. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. You end up um being connected, right? So they start radiating, your wand will pulse with power, your candles will glow with presence, your crystals hum with clarity, because you don't just buy them, you birth them into your magic. And I love how that feels. You birth them into your magic. All right. So I wanted to go make sure I hit all those points, but now I want you to look at your spaces and start considering what you want that space to look like. Do a physical layout. Like, I drew stuff out. Literally, I did it. Now, granted, that is a touch of the dopamine concept, because what's going to make me feel better when I wake up? What do I want to see? What do I need close to me? What plants help filter the air, right? I moved into an apartment. My God, it was stunning, but it had carpet, and and the carpet had been just laid, and I made sure that I had plants and that my plants understood that their objective was to filter the toxins coming off of the paint and the carpet, right? So design from your soul and not from aesthetics. You want to add sensual and sacred touches. So when you are designing a spiritual space or creating a spiritual space, consider scent, sound, softness, and sacred symbols. So sacred symbols are another element that I'm just adding since I came out with, or since I started writing the goddess codes, the printed version of the book, because I hide every logo I have has sacred symbols in it and goddess codes in it, right? That you can't see, but it radiates out. So now I do that in everything in my house. So if you picked up something and turn it over, there may be codes, there may be goddess phrases, there may be goddess frequency sound or whatever in it. There's a certain time of day I play the goddess frequency sound. And then there's certain times of days where I play videos that have the codes encoded in them that I created for me to maintain a certain frequency of peace. Now, I started on one level, and as I'm teaching this, I'm moving to another level. So now I'm packing up my house, I'm getting ready to go to the country, and so I'm taking it to another level. I will be creating all the art in my house so that the art is reflective of the sacred symbols and the goddess codes and things that I need to raise the frequency in my space and help me get to my next level, help me to express myself on my next available level and my highest timeline. So I put it in everything. You need to put it in everything. There are certain scents that I would burn in the morning to help me align with a certain frequency. And you can do all of those things. Sacred spaces should feel sacred. When you come into my home, my whole life, but even now, you have to take your shoes off. I need you to respect my temple. And when I first started doing that, it was because I had young children and we like to sit on the floor, and my children were crawling and playing on the floor. And you're not going to walk all over the shit of from the outdoors, concrete, dirt, mud, whatever, and then track it through my house. So when I started doing that, I realized that I really needed to be able to control the energy in the foyer, because the energy in the foyer would be completely off compared to my house. And so I started working with energy there. Then I started putting plants in there. And literally I had a guy come by to see my husband at the time, and he stood in front of the plant in the foyer talking to my husband, and he left. And by the end of the day, the plant was dead. You would have thought something crawled off this man and killed the plant. I was like, oh. But then I realized that how my plants responded to people was a good indication of what the fuck was going on with them vibrationally. So then I had to protect my plants. And I started making my foyer a portal. And, that particular husband is the husband that had the mental issues or whatever. So as I just started practicing and making the foyer a portal, if he had been out, if he had been drinking, if he was mentally imbalanced and left the house, he could not get past the foyer. He would end up sleeping in the foyer if he made it into the house. There were times that I opened the door and let him in because I could hear him too fucked up to open the door, and he would just sleep in the foyer. He couldn't get out. And so there was a lot of things that I did energetically. And I used crystals, I used plants, I used floor washes, I used herbs. I tried a lot of different things and came up with a really good combo for my situation, right? But you can do that. And your crystals, when you're in tune with them, will let you know as well. Sometimes there's people in the house, like, how they say turn the broom upside down. And I don't always turn the broom upside down, but I may go get a certain crystal and set it around and be like, okay, it's time for you to exit. So when you're doing this, though, your sacred space should feel sacred to you. When you walk into your house, it should be a complete Like I'm safe. It's sacred. I'm being held. I'm being nurtured. It should speak to all of your senses and really whisper your name and remind you that your life is a ritual. Like when you get in and you're going to run you a bath or you're going to shower, like I like to run my bath and set everything up and then start the bath water and then hop in the shower to rinse everything off before I get in the tub, right? But it immediately sparks the remembrance that my life is a ritual. I am sacred. I gave more than maybe I wanted to. I'm exhausted. The world took what it was going to take, and I am in my space where it can replenish. So, some of the ways that you can add texture and sensuality are through soft textures, right? Your blankets, throw blankets, scents, lighting, music, even if it's just sound frequency, flowers, and sacred geometry. Make art, buy art, whatever. The purpose ensures that your space supports your healing. Pleasure ensures that it draws you in, and power ensures it activates you every time you enter it. So if you've got the textures, the scents, the flowers, the sacred geometry, right, and you put purpose into all of your items, that ensures that your space is a healing space. When the things are visually pleasing, and because of the textures and the scents, those are also deliciously pleasing to you. It ensures that it draws you in. And then, and the power ensures that it activates you every single time that you go in. Hey, Kelly, how am I doing on time here? Because I have not checked it all. Let's see. So we're a little over. We're supposed to be, not really, supposed to be an hour and a half. So we're almost done. Using your space to deepen your practice and expand your magic. You've got to build a relationship with your sacred space. And you do this by returning to the space daily. Small acts of, revering the space on a daily basis, maybe even multiple times a day, is what builds that relationship. This is where I meditate. This is where I express my gratitude. Not that you can't do it other places, but like when I clean my kitchen and shut it down and light the candle in thanks and gratitude for the healing and the nature of the food. Now, whether or not that it's not fucking raw vegan, vegetarian stuff all the time, although that is my preference for eating, right? I don't eat that all the time because I'm gonna tell you something. If you've got a duck taco, I'm on my way, right? So, and that has changed because I've got a better relationship with my body. And when I'm communing with my body and asking my body, what does it want? And giving it what it wants instead of what I think it should have, or what society has told me I should be giving it, or the only way, like, only one way to eat is like, there's only one fucking religion and one way to God. Like, that shit's stupid. So there's many paths, there's many ways, and my body knows the way that's best for it. And so right now I'm developing a new relationship with my body because my body has changed, right? I don't have a 20-year-old body. Well, kind of, sort of. It may look comparable to some 20-year-olds, but it has, birthed 9 children vaginally. It has done some miraculous things. And so it has the knowledge to heal itself, to expand, to beautify itself. And so I'm learning to get in harmony with it and allow it to guide me. It's not this class, but there you have it. So returning to your space, small acts like using the space for meditation, using your space for manifestation, using your space for womb healing, and using your space for spell work. So I do all those things in different spaces. Where I do my meditation is not where I do my manifestation. Where I do my spell work, it depends. So like one house, I literally had a magic room that was exclusively for that, but that was not my office, or was not the room that I created in, right? And then it also was not the room that or the space that I used to manifest, and so on. So you pick your spaces. Where I healed my womb was more in the bathroom. I had a bathroom almost the size of my daughter's apartment at the time. So it allowed for me to have the stool, to do the steams, like I said, to run bath and get into the shower, spend the time with colonics in the water closet. It was a healing center for me. If yours is not that big, it can still serve all those purposes. Your sacred space is ultimately a cauldron for your spiritual evolution. It's where you cast spells, it's where you meditate, it's where you channel, it's where you cry, it's where you heal, it's where you manifest, right? This is not just a container, it's literally a portal that opens your intuitive gifts. And so you want it to be beautiful, you want it to be nourishing, you want to have the things that you need when you are doing those things in that space that you can access readily. Where I create, I have multiple phone stands and lights and different size tables if I want to sit on the floor or sit at a desk, or you've got all those things, right? I have them at my fingertip in that space, so I can really move when inspired. Okay. Um, you're going to want to use your space to anchor your daily practices. I'd spend about 5 minutes to 50 minutes in each space as you are developing and creating them, to make it like your energetic headquarters for whatever the purpose of that space is. And like I said, you need to use your space for rituals, intention setting, journaling, womb work, manifestations. Like where I journal is different. I used to journal in the bed at night, and then I didn't like that, because that message, that download, that release that I was sometimes having during journaling would be with me in the bed. No, thank you. I didn't want it. Okay. So let's talk about interactive exercises and designing your sacred blueprint. And when I say blueprint, I always actually mean a pink print. But one of the things that you can journal on is, what does my soul crave in a sacred space? Do that exercise tonight after we've closed out this class, and start searching. Is this what my soul was craving in a sacred space? Would this amplify, when you go out shopping, would this amplify my sacred space? Create you a list or a sketch or tools, or use a Pinterest board, and start carving out what your sacred space looks like, so that you do have a pink print to where it is that you're trying to go. Explore things like color, tools, symbols, energies that feel most aligned with where you are right now or where you're trying to go. So whether you're in a mansion, whether you're in a dorm room, the universe really will meet you in your intention where you are. But what you're creating, this little pink print becomes your soul's architectural design for your temple. What do you need? And I started doing this in like 2020, 2019. Maybe even sooner. I think it might have been 2018 because we hadn't shut down yet, right? And I was like, boom. I started sending pictures to my friends. This will be me. This is going to be me. This is what I'm going to be doing. You're going to be calling me in no time and you're going to be like, what are you doing? I'm going to be on my fucking swing in front of the fireplace, um, hanging over my fucking fur rug. Sure as fuck. All that happened. And it was all in the same colors. And I remember laughing. Oh, fuck. Because going through like Amazon, like keeps all your fucking pictures and like this time last year, this time 7 years ago, you know, this is what you were doing. And I had screenshotted the photo. And that was me. That was me. I was living that. I was doing that and had been doing it for years. Right. So I had quantum leaped into that reality. Didn't know, wasn't doing as much quantum jumping at that time, but I had done it. So the textures, the colors, the essence of things, even sometimes like even when you're creating, when I create vision boards, they are really like I can't think of the word, right? But it's a mood, right? So I don't really create vision boards anymore because I do things differently, but I do create mood boards. Like this is the mood for this room. This is the mood for this vibe. This is the mood for this fucking season. This is the mood of how my new wardrobe is going to be developing. So all that is it helps. And then sometimes I get exactly the thing on the picture, and sometimes it looks exactly like that, but maybe it's not made by the same company or yada yada, right? There are times when I'm like, oh, I need a new car, or actually I need to get a minivan. Most recently, like I needed a minivan for our family trust. So anybody who needed a car, or if we all needed to, you know, ride together or take fewer cars, we would have a car in the trust that anybody could access. And I made the mistake of putting a white car, which I don't really like, right? And it gives me the ick. And nothing personal. It is just that when I'm working with my energy and um, spiritually, I feel like when I'm breaking through, white cars show up like this. It's a weird distraction. So I don't want to drive a white car. Meanwhile, a white car showed up. It appeared to be in perfect shape. Bought it, registered it, the whole thing. A week before, I'm to take it to the mechanic to do like the once over and get some of the smaller things because I knew it had a code that came up that I was going to address, which was a sensor. And the whole fucking engine blew up, right? And my daughter caught it. She was like, that's your board? Why the fuck is there a white car on there? Yeah, well, I fucked up. You know what I mean? It looked good. It was the same van, but it was messed up. So you're using these boards, you literally are creating your reality. How you get there, sometimes I do create mini boards that I jump into. So, and as you know, jumping is not an actual physical jump, but I do go to that reality. I anchor in that reality. I pull that energy here. And so I merge with that new reality. And I know that I either have completely merged or I am merging based on how the items that I anchor into show up for me. So I think on TikTok, I did a video and I was like, I was so excited because, and that's when I did the quantum delusion course here in Goddess University because the technique I had been using was working so well. And I walked through my house one day. I had anchored into a reality where my house was like full of flowers, full of flowers. And one day I came home and like I literally had flowers all over and plants all over the kitchen. I had stuff laid out because I was making a whole wall of hydroponic type of plant displays. I had installed all of these beautiful flowers in the ceiling in the living room. I had all these fresh flowers in my bedrooms and in the bathrooms, and they were everywhere. And I was like, I'm here. And I was really, really excited. So learning how to anchor to things with your intention is a really good place to start before you start doing like massive quantum jumps. Okay. So we are at time. Look at me on time. So I've got a group affirmation for you to kind of carry away from this training, which is I am the temple. I create sacredness everywhere I dwell. So even if, if you know some of my stories, like there were times I had to stay in hotels with my kids. Like when the house sold faster than the owner expected, I was renting a house. And then the new owner was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to wait for your lease to end. You got to go now. And we were out. I was like out of my ass. So we were living in a hotel, nice hotel, granted, like we were never in the slums, but living in a hotel is stressful. It's not the same. And so me learning how to turn that hotel into a sacred place where I was doing rituals and I could still teach and I could still thrive and my kids were happy and we were going to school and like everything was still like good, um made all the difference in the world, right? I had a hydroponic system in there. Granted, we were in a suite until the hotel that had multiple bedrooms in one unit became available. So we didn't have like a shit ton of living space like in a house, but we had several bedrooms. But still turning that into a sacred space and bringing in decor. And I bought backdrops and put them on the fucking walls so that we had the illusion of like more outdoors and more green and bigger windows. And like I did all the shit. Okay. So you are sacred and everywhere you are is sacred. When you really dive into you being that sacred goddess, that portal, like you are the creatress of everything, doesn't matter where you are. That is home. You're there for the lesson, you're there for the experience, you embrace it for that reason, and then you're able to move on. Okay. So when I teach this class live, we do cacao. I would seriously recommend that you there is a post. Oh, I should start a recipe section. I'm about to do that when we get off. So um I have a cacao recipe from the last new moon or from 2 new moons ago when we did the goddess code activation. Make you a cup of tea or a cup of cacao. Cacao, if you do it right, baby, let me tell you, you're going to be on 100 and the downloads are going to be coming fluidly. And then journal. Okay. What does my soul crave in a sacred space? And see what you get. Start a Pinterest. If you'd like to share your Pinterest, put it in the group. If you'd like to share it with me, send me the link. I'd be more than happy to take a look at it, chat with you about it when I can. So we're going to close the class. I am the temple. It is not a metaphor, it's the truth. So hopefully you're leaving this training with not just tips and tools, but with an embodiment frequency that radiates in everything that you touch. The final affirmation, I am the temple. It is not a metaphor. It's the truth. I love you guys. Thank you for sharing your energy with me. And I will see you. I'm actually gonna pre-record a training over the weekend, but I will see you next Thursday. Hey, love you. Bye.